Well, good evening, everybody. As you've heard, my name is Earl J. Griffin Sr. I'm the pastor of Clifford Temple Christian Methodist Episcopal Church in the city of Thomasville, Georgia, South Georgia region of the 6th Episcopal District, where the Right Reverend Thomas Lewis Brown Sr. and First Lady Dr. Louise Baker Brown are our Episcopal leaders. I'm grateful and humbled to be a part of this panel to discuss and to share with you the urgency of the matter as it pertains to the missing children in the Black community, as it pertains to all that we've heard this evening. I am one of those who is a staunch advocate for parents knowing the whereabouts, the friends and associates, the activities of their children. But you've heard a lot tonight about this syndrome, the missing children pandemic, epidemic, if you will, that we are seeing in the world today, especially in states like Texas with the surge of migrants and with the people of color there, in New York and in California, in North Carolina, and Georgia, all throughout the South and the Southeast, Southwest, even in the Northeast. We're just seeing children missing. They're just disappearing. And there seems to be no way to curb this onslaught, this evil that the devil is influencing people to commit against the humanity and the lives of our children. Let me just recap for you because my role is to discuss with you how you will be able to engage in the prevention and response to the missing child epidemic. But let's first give a legal definition once again of a missing child. The term missing child refers to a person who is younger than 18 years of age or as otherwise defined by state law, whose current location is unknown to their parents, guardian, or caregiver. There are some elevated risks that determines, of course, the urgency of the response, and that would be a child who is under the age of 12. That would be a child who has autism or some special needs. That would be a child who has some risk factor that deals with their physical and mental development. And of course, if a child is experiencing more than one of these particular risks, then of course we need to respond in an urgent manner. Now, I want you to know that there is a myth, and Dr. Townsend has talked about that myth. Let me just say it again, that when your child goes missing, you need to report it immediately to the local law enforcement agencies. It has been said that the first 24 hours are the only 24 hours. It has been said that parents wait an average of 2 hours before reporting that a child is gone. This go slow approach, while understandable, can cost plenty, and in the most cases, serious cases, time is an enemy. We understand that some police forces are understaffed, they have limited resources, but nearly 25% of all homicides begin with a missing person complaint, and nearly three-quarters of child abduction victims who are murdered are killed within 3 hours after being grabbed. And that's interesting for us. That's something that we need to that causes us to want to get involved. So please, if your child goes missing, report it immediately. Do not be as Mary was in the Bible when Jesus was missing. And they didn't know he was not among them for almost 2 complete days. Then they had to backtrack and go back to the temple. And luckily, they found their son. You do not have that luxury. Is missing immediately when that is brought to your attention. I really want to stress that. And then I want to say, as Dr. Townsend has said already, I just rehashing this and recapping that federal law mandates that law enforcement agencies cannot impose waiting periods for missing child reports. It is a federal mandate that we get the word out when a child goes missing. That's awesome. That is awesome. Let me say it again. I can't say it enough. 25% of homicides begin with a missing person complaint. 75% of child abduction victims murdered are killed within 3 hours. So, beloved, if you know a family, if you know of a family who has a child who is missing and they're on the phone calling relatives to see if the child is there, they're calling, this one and that one, and time is passing, time is of the essence, then you need to let them know that the first call they should make is a call to their law enforcement in that city, in that town, or wherever they are, and report that their child is missing. Then they can take the other steps to notify family and to verify if the child is there or that type of thing. But I want you to know that you cannot afford to wait, because the enemy is not going to wait to do what the enemy wants to do to your child. All right. So I only have a few moments. And for those of you wondering, how is it that he has recorded his presentation well? As most of you know, I am traveling from Louisiana to Georgia, from Georgia back to Louisiana. I have one more week before I will have completely made the transition from the fourth Episcopal District to the sixth Episcopal District. I wanted to be a part of this panel. I wanted to be a part of the Kids Connection because I consider this valuable. People, I have children, but I have grandchildren. And I'm always cognizant of the fact that we must be diligent as parents, as grandparents, as legal guardians, as caregivers. We must be diligent when it comes to the protection of our children. So then, let me do what it is I've been tasked to do, and that is to talk to you about prevention. If you're going to engage, the first type of engagement that you do should be prevention. Prevention strategies. All right. So when we think about communities, churches, and families getting involved in this vital ministry, the protection of our children, we ought to introduce church and community organizations to the Missing Children's Organization and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. We should get the word out in our churches, in our neighborhood watches, in our nonprofit organizations in the community. We do not need to be ignorant as it pertains to how to prevent your child from being abducted or the children in your community from being abducted. We need to be proactive and become involved ahead of schedule and be very much aware. You remember in the Bible, Paul says, I would not have you ignorant, brethren, of the devil's devices. And so we should not be ignorant. We should be proactive in preventing child abductions in our neighborhood, on our block, on our watch. We should say, not on my watch, because we're going to patrol the streets. We're going to be there. Our children will go walking to and from school. We're going to be vigilant when they're in the park after school, when they're going to and fro to the neighborhood market. We're going to become a community who responds as the African proverb, it takes a village to raise a child. We are going to know what we need to be about. And then to prevent child abduction, we're going to ensure that each child has a child safety kit. Now, the Poly Class Foundation has kits, and they will send you the kits. You can order them from their website. Just type in your Google search Poly Class Foundation, and you will be linked to all of those resources that you as a parent and you as a community organization can utilize to ensure that your child, if they ever come missing, you have the necessary identification photo, uh, different types of markings and things that may be on your child to help identify your child. You want to do that. You want to ensure that you keep that in a safe place for such a time as this. And then, as a community organization, such as a church, a sorority, a fraternity, any nonprofit organization, listen, you want to make sure that you brief the parents in those organizations and the children with age appropriate lessons on this issue. You need to teach the parents how to deal with missing child signs, give them strategies to prevent things. And you got to, most importantly, teach them what tactics the enemy uses in order to lure your child away. Such things as offering your child a ride to school, especially if it's raining. Somebody drives up and says, you need a ride. Offering a child money, offering a child treats. Here you go, here's some candy. Asking the child too many questions. And then using an animal, a pet, to interest the child. They just bring a pet to the park, and everybody wants to pat the pet. Everybody wants to be around the pet, and they don't know that it is a predator that they're dealing with. You want to teach the parents and the children to be mindful and watchful about these things. And then you have to be aware of red flags where people are trying to entice your children, to groom them through sexual conversations or sexual role playing, asking for explicit images online from your children, trying to build rapport with your child by pretending to be younger, catfishing, pretending to be someone they're not, and offering incentives and gifts if they come and meet with them, and of money or a gas card if they're a teenager, food, transportation, a place to stay, alcohol or drug, any of these things. They are trying to pry your child out of your hands. And so you have to make sure that you brief the parents and members on these things, and then make sure that the people in your community are signed up to receive Amber Alerts, so that if someone is taken in from their community or any community in that area, they will receive the notification from the Missing Child Center. That Amber Alert would come in and they will tell you what the child looks like. That's why the child safety kit is so important. They will tell you what type of vehicle the child was abducted in. I mean, they want to give you all the information so that you can call. If you see something, call. If you see something, report. As of June 30, 2023, 1,140 children were recovered due to the Amber Alert. So if you have not signed up for Amber Alerts, and iPhone makes it so easy, you can sign up for it on your iPhone and you will get the alerts anytime a child is in danger in your neighborhood. You want to make sure parents are signed up. We want to be a neighborhood watch to ensure that we watch over our children, not just to see if someone is breaking and entering, trying to rob us at our homes. So then, those are the preventive things. But suppose a child comes up missing. What are the responses to incidents of missing children? What can you do? What should you do? I would say that to become engaged in this activity of rescuing children, you need to create rapid response teams in your church, your neighborhood, and the wider community because kids can be taken even from church because they can be taken by a family member that's not authorized. They can be taken by a friend of the family that the family member doesn't even know that they're taking them. So you can have a rapid response team to make sure that in the child daycare at your church, in the school system, in your neighborhood, that wherever children are, you have teams in place that if someone's child is missing, you've got a phone tree to call in each sector of the neighborhood, and people will get outside and actually watch and look to see if any of what the alert gave or what the school system gave is occurring on their block, and they can report it to the police, and we can rescue the child quick, fast, and in a hurry. We need people in. Let me also say, activate your neighborhood watch during peak times when children are vulnerable to kidnappers, i.e., bus hours, recreational events, church events, and other activities in the park and in the recreational centers in our community. Always have adults who will be watching out for the children, watching for people who are acting suspiciously, and then become proactive and get involved and make sure that if they should not be there, that they leave the premises. Neighborhood Watch works. Then invite pertinent resource contacts to regularly attend meetings held in your community to bring you the latest information, the latest policies, the latest activities that law enforcement and the district attorney have activated to help save the lives of more children. Invite them to come speak at your meetings, your church conferences, your official boards, any type of meeting that would be appropriate, your district conferences, your annual conferences. We need to put a light on what is happening in the lives of our children. Now, some resources for those of you that are listening, go to the website of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. They have a emergency response quick reference guide for families. All you have to do is click on it. You can print it, download it, read it, and you'll be able to see how to respond, how to prevent child abductions. Now, my time is up, but I just wanted to share this with you that I want you to become a part of an organization, a part of a nonprofit that will reach out and help families when their child is missing. That family needs the support of its church, its synagogue, its community leaders, its law enforcement. You listen, you may not have any children, but you should be concerned for the well being and welfare of every child in your community. So, would you join us in becoming a part of those who are working to alleviate this plague from our communities and to find our children and to protect our children. Thank you for listening. I know we have a Q&A session. I'm probably traveling on the road, but if I'm not, I will definitely be around for the Q&A. God bless you tonight. We'll speak to you again soon.